Welcome back to the channel. We have another great article from Mike over at Light Reading. I will leave it in the description down below so you guys could check it out. Here's what's next for T-Mobile's fixed wireless access business. So T-Mobile has left the door wide open for competition on the wireless side and on the broadband side. And they're welcoming in everyone to compete. They welcome the competition. They welcome it on wireless, and they're going to be open to it on broadband, on the broadband side as well. In fact, in some of these conferences, Mike Sievert has indirectly told everyone, come compete. We love that environment because we thrive and we win in that type of competitive environment. So T-Mobile wants everyone to join in on the competition. And for the last decade, they have been winning when it comes to competing. They have been winning on growth in the wireless business. In the top 50, they got to the leading share. In the top 100 metro markets, they are fair share on their way potentially to getting the leading share in the top 100 markets as well, according to what Mike Sievert says at the Goldman Sachs conference. So here we have, with roughly 1.5 million fixed wireless customers, T-Mobile is already the nation's 9th largest internet service provider. The company today counts more internet customers than longtime ISP like Windstream, TDS, Cable One, according to the latest quarterly figures from Leishman Research Group. So here's what's interesting about this. So I've said this in a previous video, but for those of you who are new or tune in for the entirety of the video, so for what I've learned internally, so by 2025, T-Mobile's goal and guidance is to hit between 7 to 8 million customers. Now, plenty of people that I speak with see that goal as conservative. But from speaking with the internal contacts, they don't think it's too conservative. They think that they will be right around that 7 to 8 million by 2025. But they think the 2025 internal projections show that they can get to 20% above the 7 to 8 million on both, the 20% on both subs and revenue. So that's what they're thinking in terms of continued growth in 2026. Now, of course, you won't see those numbers on this article because T-Mobile has not yet disclosed that publicly. They haven't given a public guidance outside of 2025. Mike Sievert did recently say that they could potentially do another analyst day when that time comes to post guidance outside of that 2025 timeframe. Now, a few interesting things that were mentioned at a recent conference I wasn't able to tune into that one. I tried to find it, but I wasn't able to tune into that one. So they were talking about the CPE units, and they've brought that up in several other conferences that they were asked, like, hey, in rural areas where the CPE antenna is not strong enough, where the tower is not necessarily close enough, is there any CPE units that you might be able to get that you can put, a portion of it on the roof and then or something on the window that's maybe a bit stronger in signal strength? And T-Mobile said at that time that they are open to it, and they said that again at this very recent conference. It just makes sense why they would do it. It's a successful piece to the puzzle, right? Getting a better, higher quality CPE unit, because now that customer will stay around longer. It lowers churn. If you put a CPE unit in a customer's house and no matter what they do, the service just doesn't work, they're going to return it. They're going to cancel. And that's what T-Mobile's main goal should be, is how do I get this to the same churn as my wireless, right? You don't want to have the same cable churn. You don't want to be at the 2+%. Look at fiber. Fiber in the home, when customers get fiber customers have the lowest churn. It's a little over 1%. Cable are the ones that have the highest churn. For some, there's always outages. For some, it's the customer service. Cable generally has the highest churn. T-Mobile, since they are just adding this as an add-a-line, the fixed wireless access, they need to figure out what they need to do for the customers that they are going to make it available to, that they are able to keep them and not have them churn at high rates. That's what they need to figure out. Now, they also discussed millimeter wave at this conference. They spoke apparently according to what was quoted in this article from Mike, that they spoke about it a bit more positively. They've been speaking, if you look at the conferences before this, they've been speaking about millimeter wave in a positive way. They just said that they believe, according to their testing, that it is not a major mobile use case. So they wouldn't deploy it as they would any other low band or mid band spectrum on the macro grid. Now, they've been randomly deploying it on just random towers and macros in those 8 cities that they have it live in, but it hasn't been really like super wide and densely deployed on, say, a small cell grid. And that's what people are a bit confused about, because Verizon is going nuts deploying this millimeter wave. But if you look at the range of the millimeter wave and where it's sometimes located, it's mostly going to be the use case for fixed wireless access, whether that be for business or for consumers. That's what it's mostly positioned to serve. It's just not going to serve the mobile use case at range. You just have to deploy too many baseband units or small cells, I should say, to get that to be like a continuous coverage pattern. Now, in some cases, they have done it. And again, when you are outside of that zone, that millimeter wave is mainly just for fixed wireless access for people that are constantly connected to it in those neighborhoods. Now, at venues, concerts, other busy shopping centers, malls, all day long, millimeter wave. Got it. Understood. And I think T-Mobile understands that as well. But I don't see them making millimeter wave a part of their core strategy. Verizon, millimeter wave is a part of their core strategy because they want to go big on fixed wireless access. Remember, like I've been saying to you guys, T-Mobile is using extra capacity to fill in this fixed wire or monetize this fixed wireless access. Verizon is building a fixed wireless access network. 2 completely different things. Now, could T-Mobile potentially decide to allocate capital towards a millimeter wave deployment in the future? That could very well happen. And Mike Sievert said such at the Analyst Day. They could dedicate capital to a deployment of strictly millimeter wave small cell nodes. They could do that too. But right now, it's just not in the plans. It's just not part of the strategy. They're still deploying N41. They still got C-band. They still got DoD in the pipeline. And that's all added capacity into the network. I was told last night, in the future, as the LTE side starts decreasing and more people get 5G devices, we could see a 30 to 40 megahertz contiguous PCS megahertz channel going to NR in some major metro areas. That's just something that Verizon and AT&T won't be able to replicate. That is a lot of PCS spectrum to be able to push together 30 to 40 megahertz of a channel. And N41, the NR radios and that technology, it allows for that to happen. So T-Mobile has a lot of headroom to grow. They still got to go to sites to get 10 gigs up. That's still in full swing. So they still have a lot of work to do. They still got to expand the network. But this fixed wireless access pedigree is working for them. I've seen the growth in August. I've seen partial growth in September. Growing, it's just nuts how this product is growing for the company. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.